Yo, what's going on, guys? Arekkz here, and today I want to talk some more about Tales of Arise because it's a game I'm super looking forward to, and we put up a video the other day when Bandai Namco released some brand new gameplay, but today I wanted to sort of just go over a few more things and break down 7 things that you definitely want to know about this game, because there have been some interviews, there have been some sort of discussions, some things to sort of like clarify a few points. There have been some sort of things following the gameplay that people were a little bit concerned about, so I thought I would just kind of wrap it up today, both for new players, maybe this will be your first Tales of series, or for those of you guys that are established, just sort of wanting a few things answered. So, with that being said, if you do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated, and be sure to keep it locked because, of course, we'll be sharing more information as we get closer to launch. Now, of course, as a very quick recap, if you guys missed the video the other day, there is now a confirmed release date for this of September the 10th for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, and also PC via Steam. So basically all platforms bar Switch. It's the 17th entry in the series, but just to clarify, if you have not played a Tales of game before, you don't need any prior experience. They are typically all self-contained stories, so while, you know, if you've played them previously, you might sort of know what to expect, you don't have to worry for this game. If you are completely new and you're just like, yo, this game looks cool, rest assured you can jump in and enjoy it to the fullest. So, with that being said, let's talk firstly about the world. A couple of things worth noting quickly. So far, from the sort of environmental trailer we've seen a few different biomes. We've seen a rocky, sort of barren looking area. We've seen the snowy region, which I really like. Actually kind of reminds me of sort of the snowy region of Tales of Symphonia. There's the sort of open grasslands. We've also sort of seen a city. And when you explore the world, while there is definitely plenty of scope to explore, it is also important to remember that this is not an open world game. It is more sort of described as, I guess you'd sort of say, wide linear. There's plenty of exploration, as mentioned. You can kind of go around, find things, go off the beaten track, that sort of stuff. And I imagine in traditional Tales format, occasionally if you do go off the beaten track, you might come across like a secret sort of powerful boss. But for the most part, it is still a linear title. They still want you to kind of be following a sort of golden line path. So that's why the term sort of wide linear is typically more used. Now, moving on from there to talk about combat. Of course, we got to sort of see some exciting combat in the gameplay. Combat has always been one of the defining features in Tales of games. I absolutely love it. For those of you guys that like real-time combat, this is a game for you. You do still run into enemies in sort of a random encounter format. You see them in the open world, so you won't just kind of randomly run into things you can't see. But once you do that, you go into battle and you're then in this sort of arena, and you then have complete control over your character and your team. In an interview, Tomizawa said that the game has, or the combat system has had a huge overhaul, and while it does retain the arena-based battle system of previous games, they really wanted to improve on the player input and feedback loop of the game and how the controls feel. This will also include an evasion and a countering system similar to the one in Tales of Graces, which again Tomizawa refers to as very highly rated for its combat, as well as the ability to actively switch between party members, which does have its own unique and interesting mechanics. Some of these things they've mentioned, but they haven't expanded on too much. However, it is worth noting that if you haven't played these games before, then the typical flow for a Tales of game, you take control of one of the characters in your party, but you can jump between them, and of course when you're not controlling them, then the other ones are controlled by the AI. Combat again is still real-time action, it's combo based. In fact, if you take a look at the UI, you'll notice that following certain button inputs, the bottom right-hand corner UI inputs change. So it sort of suggests that, you know, based on your initial inputs, you then have a few follow-up inputs. So it seems like there could be some fun, different sort of combo permutations there. Combos, again, have been present in previous games, but, you know, the UI is quite a sort of nice, good entry point to it if you're sort of working out what you want to be able to do off the back of certain actions. Enemies also appear to have weak points now, which I'm pretty sure is new for the Tales of games. I've played a few of them, I haven't played every single one, so do correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the weak point system is new, and of course that just kind of gives you some more dynamic aspects to combat, because instead of just wailing on an enemy no matter what, you can target certain areas to sort of get those breaks. Speaking of breaks, there is of course also the team-up attacks, which have been present in previous games. However, this is just purely an observation, but based on the gameplay, some of the team-up attacks were done following a break. You'll notice sort of, you know, this is a pretty standard game mechanic these days, but enemies seem to sort of have this bar, which if you deplete it, they go into like a break state, and following that, you can then perform some kind of action. Now, of course, in this situation, in this gameplay clip, that happens, and it then leads to a team-up attack. Whether team-up attacks can be done in other ways will, of course, remain to be seen, but from this gameplay, that sort of seems to be the link. Also, new to Tales of Arise, there are things called boost attacks and boost strikes. Boost attacks are support abilities that will boost stats for all party members, and boost strikes are special moves that involve multiple characters. And again, Mystic Arts will also be making a return. So plenty of exciting stuff in combat, lots of different characters to sort of mess around with, lots of different sort of combat styles. So yeah, combat is honestly so much fun in these games, and it looks fantastic in Arekkz. Now, speaking of party members, since these will influence how you play the games, so far, while we've seen 3 people in combat, we have seen 4 different characters. I assume at some point in the game later on there will probably still be 4, because the traditional format for Tales games has been 4 characters in your team. But in the gameplay that's shown so far, it's been 3, but we have met 4 different people. You of course have Alphen, one of the main characters. He's from Dana. He's known as the Man in the Iron Mask. He can't feel pain, he lost his memory, and his encounter with Xion makes him take the Torchflame sword and help liberate Dana from Reyna. Then you have Xion, who is from Reyna. She's cursed with thorns that cause severe pain to anyone that touches her, and she has secret motivations to join the fight against Reyna, despite being from there, to help Alphen. We then have Rinwell, who is one of the newer characters we've seen. She is the sort of mage type. She's also from Dana. She's a girl who initially, when the duo meet her, is on the verge of death, and she then joins Alphen in request to rescue the resistance force of Cislodia. Normally, astral arts can only be used by the Reynan people, but she is capable despite being a Danan. And then finally, you have Law, who is one of my favourite characters so far, at least from sort of a combat style. He is the sort of a monk combat style fighter. He's a young man working for Cislodia's Bureau of Observation, and he is tasked with apprehending dissidents. However, he is an outstanding fighter, and as mentioned, he uses all 4 limbs as his weapons, so if you want that sort of a crouching tiger, hidden dragon combat style, he is going to be your guy. Cannot wait to check him out in game. And of course, that's just a selection. There will no doubt be plenty more characters. In fact, there will be more characters. They have said there are more to reveal. They just haven't spoken about them just yet. You know, again, this is a standard thing for Tales games. You'll often have multiple different people you can swap in and out of your party. So I cannot wait to see who else we have. On the customization front, just a couple of things quickly. We of course got to see some of the UI stuff. We see like your basic gear setup, your ability to change out weapons, change out an armor piece, and your trinket. You also have sort of a nice little stat display down here to sort of show, you know, when you're swapping to items, if the stats are better. It's also worth noting, based on the UI, that it seems the title system will be returning. For those of you guys that have played Tales of games before, you'll be familiar with this. If you haven't, titles were more than just like, you know, a funny name. Titles were also things you could equip to your characters to give them certain stat boosts or certain benefits, so the fact that that appears in the UI seems to suggest that titles are also making a return in Arekkz. And then when it comes to actually upgrading your character, we get a little look at the sort of upgrade system change this time around. It seems to sort of work around like a branching circle where you basically select nodes depending on where you want to sort of branch out to, how you want to spec out and grow your character, so definitely interested to sort of see more of that. Now, one important thing to touch on, this one especially for Tales of fans, refers to skits and party interaction. So in Tales of games before, again, for those of you that might not have played it before, there used to typically be these sort of fun little interactions after combat and randomly in the fields as you're exploring around, called skits. It was basically sort of fun interactions between characters. Now, in the most recent gameplay for Tales of Arise, we see battles end and you go straight back into the field. And people were wondering, or people were worried, if this meant that skits were no longer a thing. Now, it's worth clarifying, while skits or post-battle interactions have been removed, just to sort of seamlessly get you back into the field, skits themselves are still in the game. This has been confirmed, but Tomizawa said they just can't show them just yet, so watch this space. And it is also worth noting that while there are no longer victory screens, they did say that instead you'll have post-battle interactions that'll basically take place in the field. So imagine you sort of finish a battle and you then go back and explore, and whilst you're exploring, you'll then have these interactions between the characters. So it will still be present, just slightly different. But again, the regular skits that you sort of know and love from Tales of games are still here, we just haven't seen them yet. Now, for those of you guys looking to pick it up on different platforms, quickly to go over the next generation features, keep in mind, this game will allow for free next-gen upgrades, so if you decide to buy it on PS4 or Xbox One, and you later on pick up a next-gen console, you can get you the upgrade for free, so you won't need to buy the game again. It's also worth noting that if you are playing on next-generation systems, there will be 2 graphics modes. You'll have a frame rate focus mode or a resolution focus mode, pretty standard behaviour. And if you're playing on PS5, there will be special haptic feedback support for the PS5 controller. The example they gave is that using things like thunder magic will feel very different to fire magic. So, you know, can't wait to see how that feels. And then finally, to round it out, the different editions of the game. So if you guys are looking to pick this up, there are some different editions you'll want to know about, and also some pre-order bonuses. Firstly, you have the standard edition, whether that be physical or digital. This includes the base game. And the pre-order bonuses include costumes for Alphen and Shion, a winged theme outfit accessory, and some cooking recipes and ingredients. For the Digital Deluxe Edition, you get all the previous items mentioned, plus you get a premium travel pack and an adventurous pack which includes premium items and costumes. You have the Digital Ultimate Edition, which has all the previous items plus 18 additional costumes and a collaboration costume pack still to be announced. This, honestly, is something that I am definitely looking forward to sort of checking out because, again, if you haven't played Tales of games before, they have always historically had loads of fantastic costumes. There are still plenty you can get in-game, so don't worry, they don't all have to be tied to these editions, but some of the costumes, just having your characters running around in like swimsuits or like fancy suits or just like completely ridiculous costumes, I've always loved that in the game, so it's so cool to see that they are definitely still very much present in Arekkz. On top of that, there is also a collector's edition. It's all the above that we just mentioned, plus an 18cm statue of Shion and Alphen, a steelbook case, a 64-page hardcover art book, and a physical CD soundtrack. This is the one that I'm getting because, I'm super looking forward to this game. I don't often buy collector's editions these days, but this one, I can't pass up on. And then finally, there is also another edition, the Hootle edition. Hootle is basically the mascot in the game. It's this little sort of owl thing. And instead, this comes with a plushie for Hootle. It comes with stickers, steelbook, art prints, and all the costumes and accessories. So, for the most part, that is pretty much everything you need to know right now in the game. It is worth noting, anime fans, then of course, when you get some of the cutscenes in games, there are anime cutscenes, and the studio behind these cutscenes is none other than UFO Table, who have done many fantastic anime, but you probably know them for things like Demon Slayer. Their animation quality is incredible, so to know that they've worked on the anime cutscenes for this game, whew, I can't wait to see that. But anyway, for the time being, that's it. That's a few things you might want to know about Tales of Arise. If you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. And again, keep it locked because I am definitely going to be covering this game once we get close to launch. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. If you want to catch more from us at Arekkz Gaming, don't forget you can catch the guys 269 and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch weekdays, playing a variety of games. If you guys want to jump in, tune in, watch, and even join in, then make sure you check them out. The links to those are in the description box down below. And of course, you can join the Discord to get involved in all of the discussions.